And we're rolling. So, well, kind of the theme of today is incongruent with the fact that this is my first attempt at a podcast, and the theme was essentially it's just a matter of like, you ever have something that you really want to do, and you just think no, and maybe you have a pool of experiences in the past that kind of come up to like dissuade you. Oh, I remember when I tried to play baseball and it was just like it was horrible. It was no fun. It hurt my neck. I just couldn't figure it out, and but something deep was really into it. I mean, I'm not saying like, you know, you don't kind of put things down for a while. Maybe you come back to them later. Um, Maybe it wasn't the right timing or something. I'm just saying, like, have you ever just thought that, maybe what I what it is not that I can't do it. It's just that I am regretting, or I can't, I don't haven't learned to enjoy the process of growth or improvement, or just enjoy every single skill level that you're at. I mean, if you can derive enjoyment and fun out of just being the worst baseball player ever, but you don't care because you love being alive and you love hitting that baseball when you manage to actually hit it, and what happens if you were just so good that you were just almost in deep sleep as you were playing, and I mean deep in your heart is just flatlining, on a heart level, on a passion is just kind of like a dull simmer. Honestly, it's not so much in that case. It's not so much the skill level. So what led me to start doing this podcast is, well, I've been recently trying to do essentially just all those things. I mean, it's a large amount of things that I just kind of set aside, or you could say gave up on, um, or got distracted and forgot about. And kind of fell by the wayside. These things that I, if generally, genuinely are things that I love to do. That I'm finding that having picking them back up again, I'm kind of looking at this place of observation and noticing, a lot of the things that ended these things were just a bunch of projections of fear or doubt. And if you can see and come from a place where you see these things and realizing they're not you, you're not identifying with them, you can, transcend them simply by, and that's not even that implies like you have to do something. You don't actually even have to do anything. You simply ignore them in an effortless way, not in a, no, I'm not going to listen to you, close my ears and blah blah blah. No, you just you realize that they're nothing at all, um, whatsoever. They're not who you are because you can see them, and they become who you are if you identify with them or listen to them. These voices like, you can't do that, whatever comes through. Um, you just have to be kind of like in an empty state where you um, grow into just immersing yourself in the activity. I mean, and honestly, I'll use the word relentlessly, but whatever word is appropriate, but to imply that you simply just dive into the ocean of whatever you're trying out, and enjoy the journey through improving and growing more comfortable into it, and enjoying that natural growth. I'm also finding that the less I involve my mind the when I say mind, I mean thinking about it so much, the better the result, the more natural it feels, the result. So for example, I've started to draw recently, which is something I gave up very early on in childhood. And the less the less I use my mind, the more I just kind of sink into a deeper kind of just being, just a kind of an awareness state, just a state of like quietness. The more I'm have my attention there, the more my hands um, just kind of move along the paper, making the lines they need to make just to create something. And sometimes, I'll have a sketch in my mind of what I'm going for, but I try not to go beyond a sketch because I'm just finding that the more I try to force something, and I don't know if this, I know this, everybody's different. I mean, but for me, this is what works. The less I try to force something, an outcome in a certain way, the better the result because it feels more authentically, more natural or more authentic to what came through this body in that moment. So, for example, if I'm trying to draw some sort of a barbarian character, okay, that's the sketch. Muscly, strong bound kind of like guy. He's gonna have like fur and skins on him, and maybe like a giant sword or some sort of weapon like this, a headband or something. I mean, I don't know, but that's the point. It's just very vague, and then I just kind of let that be alone and just see what my hand. I mean, I don't even see anything. I honestly just kind of go and sink into that place and let my hands move. And then the results aren't really so important. So what I've noticed also is in this example, like after the results, it's like I don't need to pour over so much like the results in terms of like analysis or critique or like, well, so let's say I did this process right in this example, and he turned out, and the result was I drew a giant blob. Well, okay, I don't, you know, there's something enjoyable about the life and how it has successes and failures, but in this case, it's not even like what is a failure? A failure implies that you had to taste something first to later look back upon and judge it as a failure or success. So it wouldn't exist without just doing it first, and so you just do it, and okay, I've got this blob, and well, great, I drew a blob. That's what's wrong with that? Who cares? Like, mission accomplished. I drew a blob, and then I move on, and then I continue to draw. I don't look back, there's a blob back down 10 miles back down that road there, but I don't really look back. I just keep on going, and that's true. Let the blob be a blob and continue to have the sketch of a barbarian in your mind, and eventually I'm finding that the barbarian emerges naturally, and he's a lot cooler than I could have ever imagined. I don't know. That's just one example. So another example would be skating. It's like, okay, I'm going to approach this very intellectually and step with my foot. No, it's like, no, I do it and sink into your intuitive place and let your like natural deeper intelligence guide you, and get out of almost, step out of the way of yourself, because honestly, if you're thinking about it, you're not in the moment really. You're kind of suspending the moment to go into this like fractionated time scape in your mind, where it's kind of pulling everything, all the bits and pieces apart, and it's like taking the car and pulling every single nut out and bolt out and disassembling it completely. And okay, that's how a car works. Well, you're not driving the car. You've taken it all apart. Just drive the car, and have the knowledge. The knowledge can aid you by kind of, again, it will help you plant these tiny seeds in your intuition, from your knowledge base. It's not that you don't learn anything, or like you don't go on YouTube and try to find tips for how to skateboard or something. No, you do that, but you don't hold on to anything like it's like gospel, or you don't hold it and then try to use it later, like, okay, what was that he said, and go step by step. No, you just trust that whatever knowledge you can absorb, give it your full attention when you watch that video, let's say. Trust that whatever that knowledge that you will need is in there somewhere deeper, and that you won't even, it doesn't require effort for you for it to emerge as appropriate. So it'll just kind of dawn on you spontaneously as you're writing. You kind of like remember that thing he said about, like, it's good to lead with both feet, like try to get practice with writing with your right foot in front, and then try to get good with your left foot in front. It's just good, and then you'll just start practicing that part. Oh yeah, I haven't really done much of that, so I'm gonna start practicing that, and it'll just kind of emerge naturally. And so the bottom line is, I would encourage everybody to simply just immerse yourself in life, and don't think about it. Just immerse yourself in life, and come to enjoy the lows as much as you enjoy the highs. Somehow, if you can see it from a place that's kind of celebrating just the dance and all of its peaks and valleys, because ultimately the body fades, and whether you believe something carries on or not, it is pretty well established, at least in a global consciousness sort of consensus way, that this is a body that will fade and disappear. And so, do our experiences carry on? If you believe they do, then immerse yourself in them, and don't go worrying about like trying to avoid the bad and collect good. Just immerse in yourself in life.